AITA for telling my friend the real reason I don't like her kid is that he stinks. I've asked my friends, and they are genuinely divided, so I thought to ask Reddit. I, 31F, am child free, and I work with Chloe, 40F. We've become good friends over the past year or so, and we hang out most weekends. We are both into knitting and wine, and we are both really chill. Ideal friendship, right? Well, she has a 15Y/0 son, Braden, who is really unclean. He stinks like rotting meat and bow, and he also has this awful metallic odor that makes me gag. I know it's not a neglect issue, because Chloe's younger daughter, 11F, has never stunk. Lately, I haven't even wanted to go over to Chloe's, and I don't want to invite her to my house in case she brings her son. Lady Week was the last straw. We decided to go to the craft store together, and Braden wanted to come. I drove them there, and my upholstery stank for a good 3 days after. The next day at work, Chloe asked if I wanted to come over for dinner, and I had to tell her no. She really pushed me for a reason, and I told her son smells like ass and I basically can't be around him until he works on his cleanliness. She sent me a text later, pasted here, "Hi, you'll need weed. The things you said about Braden were really uncalled for, and I don't want you to talk about my kids in a bad way. I'm a good mom. Don't talk to me until you apologize." AITA, should I apologize? Edit for more info. Yes, I did unfortunately phrase it that way. We both cuss a lot, but I definitely cold been gentler. No, I won't be calling the authorities on Chloe. Their house is clean. He has access to washer/dryer/shower. This kid just inexplicably reeks. Yes, Braden comes with his mom to my house a lot. He doesn't really have friends or out of school activities, and he likes some of the gaming systems I have. Edit 2. No, I'm not one of those child-free people who hates kids. I'm mainly child-free because I like the freedom, and I've never really had a maternal instinct. Also, Lady Week was a typo. I meant last week. Fat fingers FTW. AITA for snapping at my teacher? Background. I'm failing my math class, and my teacher has been telling me my grades loud enough for everyone in the class to hear for the whole school year. My math teacher has been married and divorced 3 times. In class today, my teacher was grading my test that we took Friday. When she was done, she called out my name and said, "John, not my real name. Are you ever going to pass a test in my class?" Loud enough for the entire class to hear. I snapped. I had had enough of her berating my grades, and I said back, loud enough for the whole class to hear, "I don't know, miss. Are you ever going to keep a husband?" My teacher started crying. So Reddit, am I the asshole for finally snapping at my teacher? Edit, I have already tried talking to her privately. Twice. AITA for not telling a charity second-hand store that Sama's new designer shoes were worth much more than the price they had set. Was looking for bargains at a local op shop on the weekend when I saw 6 pairs of unworn Ferragamo shoes worth approximate $900 each when new. 4 of the pairs fit me, so I bought them for $45 each, the marked price. The lady behind the counter was lovely and gave me the calico bags that the shoes came in. She obviously didn't realize the value of what she was selling. I can't believe my luck, but also feel slightly guilty because it was a charity op shop and they definitely would have been able to sell the shoes for more. AITA for not telling her? AITA for hitting a kid with my cart and refusing to apologize. I know, horrible title, but here's the gist of things. I was at Walmart and there was a mother with her 2 kids who were sprinting between aisle. She's on her phone not paying much attention to them. Surprise, surprise, as I'm stepping out of the aisle here one of them comes encountering my cart as I'm walking straight. I was taken back, but when I collected myself I opened my mouth to apologize. I felt horrible. Before I can get my words out, the mom starts screaming at me, calling me careless and incompetent as she cuddles her crying son. He didn't have a bruise or a scratch on him. It was a light push that didn't even knock him off his feet. The more she yells, the less sorry I become. I walk away, and I hear her yell about how I'm not going to even apologize. Give it to me straight. Was I tar? AITA for telling my friend her cooking sucks after she quit her job to become a chef. So one of my best friends loves to cook. She makes these elaborate dishes and she really puts her heart and soul into it, which is great for a hobby, and myself and all her friends always supported this hobby completely. The thing is, her cooking never exactly tasted very good. In fact, it was kind of awful. I'm convinced she's actually not able to really taste food as well as she thinks she is. She has a severely deviated septum and has been known to have an impaired sense of smell. I thought maybe I just had an unsophisticated palate because my friends seemed to really enjoy her cooking. Everyone always complimented her and ate her food with a smile, and if something to do with food came up said, "Oh, you should ask her. She's the chef of the group. She cooks all the time." So I always wondered if everyone else was just being nice like I was, but didn't care as long as my friend was happy. 2 weeks ago she invited us all to a big dinner and announced she was quitting her high-powered job with benefits to strike out on her own as a caterer. She has 2 kids and is a sole provider of the home. Afterwards we talked separately, without her present. The rest of us friends and someone kind of uneasily said, "So, Trish is becoming a caterer, huh?" Not real name. And basically after beating around the bush for a bit, it came out that we all felt she was making a huge mistake and was not a good cook. We talked for a while and were starkly divided over whether or not we should say something in case it wasn't too late to get her job back and not spend too much more money on launching a catering business. Half of us thought we had to speak up, the other half thought her mind was made up and doubting her would only make her resolve to prove us wrong. So I was with her yesterday and she was talking about how she'd spent a significant portion of her savings and was now considering taking out a second mortgage on her home to kickstart this catering business. I couldn't believe it. I had no idea it would require this much money of her. So, thinking of what I would want if the tables were turned, I sat down and explained we were trying to be supportive when it was a hobby, but it was not restaurant quality food and she should not take a financial risk for it. She listened silently, then firmly asked me to leave. I haven't heard anything from her or my friends since. AITA? Question. Presumably you're a group of friends. But had she really never gotten feedback from anyone else on her cooking? And then she just quit her job to jump into it full time. She never did any side catering or anything? Like, zero feedback from a group of friends to a full-time catering business is just bad business sense. Considering some of the anxiety AITAs I've seen lately, I can totally see an entire large friend group choking down shitty food, lying and saying it's great, like a 90s sitcom, because they don't like confrontation. So nothing ever gets resolved because no one wants to be the bad guy. AITA for expecting my mother to keep my secret child to herself. One night after quite a few drinks at a nightclub, I met a girl who had mutual friends, though I'd never heard of her before, and ended up taking her back to my place. Was living with my mum at the time for a one night stand. Unprotected. Stupid, I know, but at the time I was drunk and just wanted to smash. The next morning I made up some excuse for her to leave and intended on never seeing her again. A few months go by and I've now rekindled a previous love. We are living together and things are going great. Then we find out my partner is pregnant and we're ecstatic, planning for the future. Next thing you know, I get a message from an unknown number and it's that girl I had a one night stand with saying we need to talk. First thing I did was let my partner know what was going on. We talked things through before I messaged the girl back and letting her know I was in a happy relationship and I didn't want her to go through with the pregnancy and would prefer she got an abortion as politely as possible. She was unsure what she was going to do, but assured me if she was going to go through with it, I wouldn't have to be involved and it would be her child alone and wouldn't expect any form of involvement or support from me. I agreed and that was the last I've spoken to her even to this day. We live in a very secular country, so early abortion isn't nearly as frowned upon as other countries. Weeks go by and my girlfriend and I are attending a scan and everything seems fine. We are advised the heart rate was low and asked to come back in 2 weeks for a follow-up. When we returned for the follow-up, the baby was gone. This was extremely emotional and traumatic for the both of us, especially my partner, and she dealt with a great deal of depression following. Especially when her body failed to eject the remains and had to go in for an abortion surgery to manually remove everything. Months go by and we've moved countries to start a new life together. Within a month of arriving I find out the one-nighter had turned up at my mother's to introduce a 1-month-old child. My mother is happy and excited. My girlfriend is heartbroken, feeling like she failed in providing that grandchild. I say to my mother, look, I'm in a whole other country. I have no interest in being involved in this child's life. I'm not even listed on the birth certificate. But if you want to be involved in this child's life, so be it. I just ask you respect my partner and I's wishes by keeping it to yourself. She agreed initially, but over time things changed. Suddenly my mother's bringing the child to family gatherings, plastering photos and statuses all over Facebook. I can't help but feel like it's a huge kick in the teeth to my partner's feelings and my wishes. So, AITA for hoping she'd keep it to herself. Edit. I should probably point out my girlfriend has polycystic ovaries and had been advised by a doctor prior to the pregnancy that she wouldn't be able to have children without medical assistance and a stroke of luck. Hence why the baby meant so much to her and affected her so badly when she lost it. Yeah, AITA, no matter how much you want to forget it happened, that is your child and it is her grandchild. Just because you don't like it, your mom has every right to acknowledge and love this child. The child is not some shameful secret. It is a human being. Come on, it's 2019, not 1959. Edit. Wow, thank you for the awards, kind internet strangers. Imagine being the woman who had a one-night stand and found out she's pregnant. She texts the guy and he tells her he's in a relationship and to get an abortion. No matter how politely he worded it, that's really cold. She knows he's not interested, so agrees he'll have no involvement. That sounds fine and dandy, but everything changes when the child is born. The father might not want to be involved, but it's still a child who is deserving of being accepted and loved by as many family members as possible. I don't blame the grandmother for embracing her grandchild, and while she initially wanted to respect her son's wishes, she's still a proud granny who wants to show the child off. I'm going with AITA. It's understandable the op wants to protect his girlfriend and she's been handed a ordeal, but an innocent child shouldn't pay a lifetime price of complete rejection because of that. The mother isn't looking for financial support. She's looking to give her child a relationship with its grandmother. She has no obligation to protect the op's girlfriend. Her obligation is to her child. There have been plenty of stories on here of children who are the result of onzes, affairs etc, and they were the family secret and they grew up feeling rejected and ashamed. The op is entitled to not want anything to do with the child, but he can't force everyone else to do the same. Saying well they agreed and went back on their word doesn't cut it. It's easy to be closed off when you live in another country, but it's a different story when you are part of the child's life and want the best for them. Comment your judgment by using only one of the following abbreviations in your comment. So if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, show your support, and last, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good one.